Okay, so have you ever noticed how we kind of like overuse the word love? It's like we love puppies, we love pizza, we even love like that feeling when our online order finally ships, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But when we step back, it makes you wonder, what do we really mean when we talk about love?
Right.
Well, get this. Turns out the ancient Greeks were like way ahead of the curve on this whole love thing. They actually had 6 different words for love. So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack those different flavors of love.
I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah. And honestly, like even just reading about these different types of love, it's got me thinking about like my whole emotional vocabulary in a different way.
Yeah, for sure. The Greeks were very insightful in how they broke down these different types of love.
Totally. So to kick things off, we've got Eros.
Okay, Eros.
And this one's all about that passionate love, right?
Yes, that's
I'm
right.
picturing like epic romances, Romeo and Juliet, that whole vibe.
Exactly. It's that intense, all-consuming feeling that often kicks things off at the start of a relationship.
Huh.
And it's interesting because, like, the Greeks even, they personified Eros as the god Cupid.
Oh, yeah.
So talk about wearing your heart on your sleeve, right?
Wow, yeah.
But, I mean, they also recognize that, Eros could be a bit of a wild ride,
Yeah.
almost like a kind of temporary madness.
Okay, so maybe not always the best recipe for something stable and long term.
Right.
Because let's be real, I think we've all had our like Eros moments where it's just
The ups and downs.
too much. Exactly.
Passionate, but
But speaking of lasting bonds, that brings us to our next type of love, which is philia.
philia.
And this one's all about friendship.
Yes. Friendship, love.
And this one, to me, feels particularly interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And the Greeks valued it tremendously. They really did.
Right.
Because philia is that deep, loyal connection you have with your closest friends,
Right.
the ones who truly get you. And it's built on shared values, mutual respect, and that just like unshakable sense of trust.
Oh, yeah.
Like think about the bond between soldiers who fought side by side.
Wow.
Or like the unspoken understanding within a team that's just completely in sync.
Oh, totally.
It's like they just know what the other one's thinking.
Yeah.
And, for the ancient Greeks, philia was even essential to their ideas of civic duty and like what it meant to have a flourishing society.
That's fascinating. It's like this idea that, you can't have a strong society without those strong bonds of friendship.
Oh, exactly. 100%.
Wow. Okay, so we've got these deep friendships, that's philia. But, I mean, what about, like, that playful romantic kind of love?
Right.
How did the Greeks view that?
So that would be ludus.
Ludus.
Yes, ludus. The love of laughter, flirtation, shared joy, kind of lighthearted and fun.
Okay, got it.
Like think about that, electric feeling of like witty banter on a first date or even just, the way a shared inside joke like with your friends can just bring you closer.
Oh, for sure.
Ludus is that reminder that love doesn't always have to be so serious.
That's so true.
It can be, pure, lighthearted fun.
Yeah, and it's making me think about how important, like, a sense of humor can be in any relationship, really.
Oh, absolutely.
There's romantic or friendship. You've got to have that playfulness. Okay, shifting gears a bit here.
Okay.
Because the next type of love, which is agape,
Agape.
this one feels much, much broader.
This is the big one. This one's a
Yeah.
big one.
Yeah.
Agape is universal love.
Okay.
It's the selfless and unconditional kind that extends to all beings, not just those, in your inner circle.
Right.
It's seeing the inherent worth in every person, regardless of their flaws or differences.
Wow.
Think about the work of someone like Mother Teresa,
Oh, right.
or, even those everyday heroes that
Yeah.
we see, who dedicate their time to helping others, volunteering, things like that.
Yeah. It's about striving for that, like, radical empathy, even when it's really, really hard. Definitely something to reflect on.
Yeah. It's a powerful one.
Okay, so we've covered passion with Eros, deep friendship with philia, playful love with ludus, universal love with agape.
Yeah.
What about, like, those couples who've been together for, like, decades?
Right.
That deep, lived-in kind of love,
Yeah. That's where pragma comes in. Pragma, enduring love.
Enduring love.
Yeah, but it's not just about being together for a long time, right?
Right.
It's about the the conscious effort, the commitment to nurturing that relationship over time. It's a choice. It's an active choice.
Totally.
It's like, imagine a couple that, they still prioritize learning and growing together, even after years, maybe even decades
Yeah.
of marriage.
Wow.
That's pragma in action.
I love that. It's that reminder that, like, any relationship, just like a fine wine, needs, like, the right conditions to age beautifully.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Which takes effort. So that brings us to our final type of love, which honestly I think is so often overlooked.
Right.
And that is philatia, or
Right.
self-love.
Oh, yes, yes. So important.
So important.
And, it's important to remember that this is not about egotism, right? This isn't about vanity.
Right.
This is about recognizing your own worthiness of love and care.
Yes.
And think of it this way. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Oh, I love that.
So philatia is about treating yourself with kindness, honoring your needs, and setting healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
It's the foundation. It's the bedrock for all other loving relationships in our lives.
Such a powerful point. And, I think as we're kind of like wrapping up our deep dive into these 6 types of love, it's just amazing to me how much like wisdom and like nuance there is in the way that ancient Greeks thought about this, this thing that is so universal, which is love.
It's a fundamental part of the human experience.
Really is. So I'm super curious, and maybe something for all of you listening to think about too. Which of these types of love right now are resonating most with you?
Right. Where do you see yourself?
Exactly. And how can understanding like these ancient Greek concepts maybe even help you cultivate even more fulfilling relationships in your own life? I mean, it's definitely given me a lot to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the beauty of it, right? The Greeks remind us that love isn't one size fits all. It's not this, monolithic thing.
Right.
There are so many different flavors. And by understanding these different forms, we can approach all of our relationships with more awareness, more intention, and ultimately, I think, with more love.
More love. I love it.
Yeah.